Hey, my friends, I have been working on this for several days, and I have to say I prefer a project that does not require exact measurements. So let me just tell you some of the steps. I thought I would video them, but I've been all over the place and it's taken me too long. I'm not flowing yet. So it's not been worth it for you guys to have to deal with all my stops and starts. But your first step is going to be to gather paint chips in whatever colors and hues that you want. You are going to need 35 different colors. Now you could add you could add 7 to that if you wanted a different color at the very top, but I'm probably going to use a piece of one of these for the header. So I have 35 different paint. Actually, I have more because I'm not sure exactly which colors, but you need to have 35 for your project. 35 paint chips. And you're also going to need a picture frame. I shared that I picked up something from the thrift store, and it was I can't even get to it right now, you guys, but it was an 11.5 by 11.5, the opening space, 11.5 by 11.5 piece. So this is the paper that came from the inside. I will tell you, it is not exactly that size, but the area that I'm able to work with my calculations, I went by 11.5. You are going to need to figure out, this was the hardest part, you guys, figure out how many columns. You're going to need 7 columns, so 7 across for each day of the week. And then you're going to want to do 5 rows for the 5 rows down this way for the weeks of the month, because some months have 5 weeks, some don't, depends on how it falls. And I also had 1 extra row, which was a half of the size. It could even be a third of the size. You do whatever you want to do of the actual rows for the header for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So these are the calculations that I came up with, and I will tell you this was a lot of trial and error. So maybe this is saving you some work if you have a frame the same size. Remember, you can do this project any size you want. If you get a large frame, then you could use the whole entire paint chip. I'm not sure exactly how big a paint chip is. I think it depends. I have some that are bigger than this, but it looks like these are about 3 inches by 2 inches. I don't like all this measuring I'm having to do. I actually had to work in centimeters to get it to work out better. But these are the calculations I came up with. So 7 columns for the days of the week. And I did each one of those at 4 millimeters. They were 4 millimeters in length or width. And I will tell you, I did not start at the very end. I measured in a half of an inch on each, or about a half an inch on each side of my paper to figure out where I needed to start. And I had 5 rows at, I forgot to finish writing it, 4.8 centimeters. So I did 1 row, half of that, so 2.4 centimeters. I did start, here we go. Here's the top, actually, you guys, right here. Here's my top one right here. I did start 2 inches from the top before I started my measurements. Now, what I'm doing right now, I did all this. I did it and erased it and did it, erase it with a dry erase marker and a Sharpie on the actual acrylic that came with the frame. And then once I had it figured out, I tried to transfer it to the actual frame with the measurements on it. And now what I'm doing is, instead of using a pen or a pencil, because I don't know what will show up, I'm using one of these kind of tools. Oh, I got stuff on it. Really, I'm just kind of making a score mark. I think you can see it there. That way I don't have to worry about erasing any lines if it shows up. Okay, so that's the next step, is I'm going to score everything. The step after that is you're going to take your paint chips, however you arrange them, and I have measurements for you. So for the pieces that are going to be in the days of the week, for this particular size frame, I have figured out the measurements for that are 3.3 centimeters by 4.4 centimeters, and you need 35 of those. For the header section, I cut, again, I was just doing this as a sample. You're going to need 7 of those at 2 centimeters by 3.3 centimeters. And that will leave you with like a little tiny bit of a white space in between. Again, you will probably have to modify your measurements if you have a frame bigger than mine, or even smaller. I don't know that you're going to want to go any smaller, because as you can see, this is going to leave a pretty small area to be able to write in for each day. Depends on what you're using yours for. If I were you and I was using it for a purpose that included multiple family members, or I wanted it on a larger scale, I would go up on my sizing on the frame. And then if that's the case, you'll probably be able to use the large majority of the paint chip. The example that I pulled from actually kept the color name on their paint chip. I am not going to be doing that. because of the size that I need. I don't need that. But if you wanted to keep that on there, you certainly could. I actually got my paint chips from Sherwin-Williams because that's the paint that I would be using. I'm actually searching for a color for some accessories in my house, on the actual house itself. So I would be using Sherwin-Williams. I'm going to cut that off, but it's completely up to you. So anyway, I'm going to finish my scoring, and then I'm going to start placing my grids on my paper. I'm using this paper to attach my colors to, so we'll be doing that next. Okay guys, back to measuring and cutting. So I tried measuring on the back of these. I just turned them over on the back of all my little paint chips. And I tried measuring it first with the ruler and marking it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me forever. So then I was like, why would I do that? I made some little sample ones to make sure they were going to fit on my grid. And why don't I just use those as my stencil? So that's what I've been doing. I have just been putting this on here on the back. Obviously trying to save space if I needed to, you know, of the, you don't want to get, actually that one I did a little different, but trying to, oops, sorry, I cut off my camera. Putting it on the back, tracing it with a pen and cutting it out with scissors. I trace them all first and then go and cut them. That is a big time saver. So that's a little hint for you if you are wondering how in the world am I going to get all these on there. That's what I would suggest. Okay, my friends. I have been trying to get back in the craft room to finish this project, and it has taken me so long. I haven't been in here for a week. But anyway, I am on to the next step, and I did score all of the rest of the paper, and then I decided it was kind of hard to see, so I went back over it with the ruler and another marker. I have all of my pieces. Let's see if you can see that. I have all my pieces here cut out and sorted for where they're going to go. Now, this is just the paper that goes behind the actual frame. Let's see if I can pull that out. Should have that over here for you, and I'll actually have to clear that frame off. But I had done grid lines earlier on there, and I decided I would go ahead and do it on the paper instead. That was what the grid lines were supposed to look like. I think it changed it a little bit when I put it on the paper. I made some modifications. So I'll just clean that off because it should come off very easily. But anyway, there's my frame. So I am just going to take some of my glue. This is reptile glue. And I have, like I said, I used a little stencil of the sizes that I needed and just figured out that was the best way to cut these out. I originally was going to measure each one of them, you guys, and I was like, that is going to take forever. So then I was like, why don't I just use a stencil like we used to in the old days? Oh my gosh, I don't know why I didn't think about doing that. So I did. So that's what I did. Okay. I think I have a little dry glue. But anyway, I'm just going to take my liquid glue on here and just kind of attach it instead of like a glue stick, or I mean, I could. It's going to be in a frame, so it's fine if I do. Now, you may not like it to be this pronounced. I don't really care, but you might not like the grid to be that pronounced. So if not, then, you know, don't do it in a dark color that might show up. I did not cut these to fit the entire frame, and I am going to do my best. We're going to do our best to just put it in there the right way. That's why I say I'm not using a glue stick, because the glue itself, well, it should let me move it a little bit. Boy, it's not. It's just grabbing it. But if it is, if you're really worried about it being straight and perfect, then you may, you know, want to do it a little bit differently. But I'll tell you, the longest part of all this was figuring out the grid. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I have just kind of done a random assortment and pattern of my color swatches from my paint chips, and I'm just going to attach them onto the frame, and we'll see what happens next. All right. I hope you like this idea. Okay, my friends, it is finished. Well, for the most part, it's finished. I will be painting this frame. I don't like the color of it. It's too dark for me. So I'll definitely be painting it. Not sure which color yet. I might just whitewash it or gray wash it. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is how it turned out. Now, it's not perfect. It's not exactly like the example that I followed. I really just had a visual. I had a picture, and I went from that. But we have up here, these are the places where we will write our days of the week, which you could go ahead and write those in there on permanent marker on the backside. So I went ahead and put the plexiglass in here. It's not real glass, it's plexiglass. And I went ahead and put that in here in the back on it, obviously. So that's just the piece of paper that came with the frame. You could actually do this on a really pretty background. If you wanted to do like a really colorful, I have a watercolor colored piece of scrapbook paper, you could have done that in the background. And then that would have given you a little bit more, even more visual interest. If I were to do this again, that would be what I would do. because I think I like that idea. I did not go with like gradient colors like the example that I followed. I just kind of picked colors that I liked, and then I randomly put them on here. There was a little method to my madness. I started with a plan, and then I changed it, and then I modified it again. So really, you just put it on there the way you would like it. And then how you would use this, like it would be a dry erase or a reusable one for every month, is, again, if you don't like, I may even put a strip of something up here just to cover that up. If you don't like where it has the grids here, you don't have to do it in the dark colors. You could have just scored it or done it in a light pencil and erased it. But this is where you would put the month. So just for example, now get you a dry erase pen. They come in all different colors. You don't have to just get black. But this is where I would write which day of the month, or which month it is. So we'll just put January up there. And then here is where you would write your days of the week. So depends on how you want to do it. You might want to start it with Sunday here and end up with Saturday there. Or maybe you like doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the weekend on the end. Whatever you like, you can write it in here, and you can change your colors. You can change it out every month. You don't have to keep this. This is going to be dry erase, so you can even change that. But that is where we would put that up here, obviously. And I have to say, this wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. It's simple. It's a simple concept. It's a neat concept, but it was not as easy as I would have thought. I am more of a kind of eyeballer, and I like to just put things like I did with these. I just put them on where it looks like it's straight, or I size things based on that. Figuring out the measurements and the measuring and cutting, that was time consuming. So you're going to need to allow a little bit of time for you to do that if you want. Now, if you don't want to put January up there, you could have written it down here. There are enough spaces that, you can have up to 31 days depending on how it falls. I haven't even looked at the January calendar. I would need to look and see. I think the first was a Wednesday. So we would start here, and I would go ahead and number it. And I would number it very small up here, just because you want to leave some room to write whatever it is you're going to use this for. If, like I said before, you could do it on a much larger scale, and then you could use it for probably more practical purposes. But maybe this is just your bill calendar and you wanted something to be fun and cheery. Then use it as your bill calendar and write what bills are due, what dates. Maybe it's a card calendar, or maybe it is an activity. Maybe if you're a creator, it's you want to write down what you're working on, or your lives, or your events, or your videos, or whatever it is that you're trying to keep track of. This is a very small scale. Like I said, this frame is probably 12 by 12. So anyway, that is how it works. And then for February, you just take a damp cloth, and wipe it all off, or a little microfiber, probably even eyeglass cleaner, and wipe it all off and start again. Use a different color if you want. But anyway, that's my idea. I hope you like it. Thanks for sticking in there with me. I'm sorry I couldn't do it live. It really needed more than what I could give it in one setting. And the measurements just stumped me. I'm being honest with you guys. It stumped me. So anyway, I had to phone a friend. Anyway, I hope you guys like this idea. And if you try it out, make sure you let me know in comments. Leave me a comment. I'd love to see your example. All right, guys, until I see you next time, I hope you'll be safe, be healthy, be blessed, and I hope you'll be so inspired. Bye, guys.